Good day everyone, back again to another video tutorial. Today we'll be looking at PHP data type, operators and conditional statements. Especially we'll focus our attention on W3 school. In the last video tutorial, we looked at setting up our PHP. We also made use of concatenation in our work and also PHP variables. And I hope you guys understood it. So without wasting your time, let's dive in. Now I've minimized. All we need to do is we need to go back to our working folder, in which you open a folder in your system. Once you open it, go to your local drive C, double click, or you can just one click depending on which one that is working. You will see your XAMPP. We talked more about this XAMPP yesterday in our last section. So please make sure that you have you have your XAMPP running very fine. Double click and open it to show you series of folders. Inside this folder you will see a folder called htdocs. Inside this htdocs is where we place all our work we want to make public when we host. A work that we should be able to see in our browser. So please locate this htdocs if you are using XAMPP. If you are making use of something like WAMP, you will see a www folder. That's where you are supposed to place your work. So when I open my own htdocs and scroll down, I think I should be able to see the work I think okay is new.php. That's the current work we are working on. All we do is we right click, choose the text editor of your choice. I want to continue with my notepad with, so I click on open. Now it's open. This is where we stopped. In order to open this work in our browser, all we need to do is to on our XAMPP. I believe each and every one of us knows how to on his or own XAMPP. So double click on yours, it will load. As we are waiting for it, I think it's loading. It should load fast. So please make sure that your XAMPP is on. It's very, very important. Like mine, I have seen it. It's open now. I can simply click on my start button. I want to start Apache and MySQL. I also start these two. Very important. Like we said, Apache is our server. MySQL is the connection to our database. Always take note of that. You can close or minimize, it's your choice. Even if I close it, my XAMPP my server is still on. So that's good. All we need to do now is we open our browser of your choice. I recommend Chrome. If you have Chrome, please open your Chrome browser. You will see it's very easy for developers and to help your life. So we type what? Localhost / the name of our work, file we are working on, which is new.php. That's what you are supposed to type. Hit enter. So this is where we stopped in the last section, as you can see. So today's, like I will say, okay, like I said before, we'll be looking at some important things. Let's quickly go to W3 School, w3school.com, W3 School. So once we visit this W3 School, we locate where we have PHP tutorial. I will be using W3 School to explain certain things to make it easy for you guys. Now we'll have, I think we have looked at introduction. We have done installation aspect of it, PHP syntax. Let's know if there's any important things we need to know here. PHP syntax. So now I think I'll start from this PHP. I have not mentioned it before. PHP is case sensitive. We should take note of this. Whenever we are working with PHP, please make sure that you know what you maintain one case. Most especially what is recommended for PHP is lowercase. Like for example, we have variable my name is, which is okay. If we check our code, which is running fine, you find that we are seeing the result of whatever is happening in our text editor. I can clean up the echoes. That means from what I said initially, if we remove echo from our work, nothing will show on the screen. Once we remove all this echo, we are not expecting to see anything on the screen. We can save and check. Once we refresh, nothing is showing. Meaning that for anything to appear on the screen, we need to make sure that we have echo available. Now I can as well echo this thing back. Control save. When I go back, I'm now echoing variable underscore h, which is supposed to show us what 19. So once we go back, we expect to see 19 on this in our browser, which is showing fine, good and fine. So when we are talking about case sensitive in PHP, assuming we have this variable h underscore h, I can as well remove this underscore. Let me just call it variable h, which is 19. And I now change this A, letter A, to capital letter A on line 4 and save. Now, implication of what is happening here is that as our server is going through about to process our code, it will start from line 1. You say, okay, I know what people are writing in PHP. It goes to line 2. I can see comments to jump it. Comes to line 3. It sees a variable. My name is equals to Vala Farms loves food. So it will carry whatever it has, the value you have, and store it in the variable name, which is my name is, so that anytime we need it, you can easily give it to us. Then on line 4, we have variable h. We start with capital letter A. We note that, which is equals to 19. So it will carry the 19 it has and store it inside the variable h. It will come on line 5 and see variable h underscore equals to 19. It will still take note. It will definitely take note that h in line 4 and h on line 5 are the two different things. So line 6 name 2 name variable name 21 equals to 17. You take note of that. So coming down on line 10 is now seeing underscore h. That means it's going to complain. If you should check our code now, because of what you have not met any guy called underscore h. So it's saying what undefined, mean that we have not defined anybody with that name underscore h. So that's why it's complaining. Even if we remove this underscore h, that in the sense that we're having h here, h on line 4 and h on line 10, the case sensitivity of it is what will take effect now. If we refresh and check what will happen, you see it's complaining that undefined variable h, because of what the one is seen on line 4 is different from the one is seen on line 10, because of what that capital letter we're using here. That's the implication. So if we should change this to capital, which is not recommended, please make sure that it's small. We use lowercase. So lowercase in everything we are doing. Now have h, same thing h, and in the same case we'll refresh our work and we are seeing our 19 is back, good and fine. So that's what we are talking about when we are discussing about case sensitive. The same way applicable in this echo we are seeing. This echo is written in uppercase, this one in lowercase, this one camel case, a kind of. So please, the best is this middle one, which is in lowercase. Take note of that. So the same way we declare the color here, the variable color holding red. This next line we are calling it very well, in which we, from what I have taught you in the last section, we are echoing out this string. String is what? Anything that have quotation on it. That's what we explained in the last class. So we found that we are trying to echo this string, which contains my name is. This is the first string. We concatenated it with period. I mentioned that in the last section. Then we are joining a variable. And when we want to join string, variable, string, anyhow we want to join anything, please make use of period. That's what PHP makes use of. It's very, very important. Don't forget it. Don't forget. So thank you for that. So now what we are doing here, like I have explained, is what we are just concatenating, and we are using lowercase, which is same thing we'll have on the line above, which will work fine. So coming on this line, we find that to have my house is, we are using a uppercase variable, which is not the same, meaning that end of the day we are going to see an error. Same with this next line, in which we started with a lowercase, then in the middle of the way we kick off with uppercase. So there is error also in this place. So please, we should take note of this. Insert the missing part of this code. Let's try to solve this simple exercise in Visual School. So as we are going through, please make sure you are solving most of these exercises. So I can now put, for me, I believe it should be echo because we are trying to echo out a string. If you click on submit answer, it will check it for us and tell us. Inside the missing this show answer, I can click on show answer. What is it telling us? What is it telling us? Am I seeing any answer? Okay, I think it's now inserting what is supposed to be there. So it's telling us that we got it. It's meant to be that same echo we added. So we are good to go. So next thing we have now is what I think I have discussed more on PHP comments in the last section we had, in which I have mentioned this single line commenting in PHP. Whenever we are using double quotes in front of whatever we want, double quotes, like if we go back to our text editor, if we wish to comment off this, all we need to do is we add double quotes in front of it. It's off. The system will jump it and will not have what any issue. And we also use it to notify or remind ourselves of anything that we wish to do, maybe later in the day or later anyone we come back to the code. So we can use it to comment, make some comments concerning a part of our code to remind us once we visit back. So that's some good thing concerning comments. That's another thing we need to know. So another way of commenting in PHP, we can use this sign. I think they call it naira sign or pound sign. I don't know which one you people call it. So you can as well make use of it. Adding it in front of your work. Once it's green in color, you are good to go. So that's what we are seeing. Anything written like this, if we save our code and check, we find that it's still running. There is no error. All it does is it will jump those lines that will have all these comments. So this is another way of making use of comments in our PHP work. So this all we have been discussing on comments are called single line. These are single line comments in PHP. So when we want to do work or anything that have to do with multi-line, all we need to do is we make use of slash star. Then anywhere we wish to end, you can see now it's commenting of almost everything, depending on where we wish to stop. So I can say let's start from line 3 and end this line 5. So at the end of line 5, I can now put star slash. So you find that this one is not commented. I can take off this guy. So you find that line 6, which I'm pushing down now to line 8 and line 10, they are not commented off. So the effect is taking place from 3 to 8. You can as well push it down, it's your choice. You can as well push this one down too, depending on how you want it. So this is multi-line. If you don't want to start in putting this double slash in every line, assuming you want to comment off up to 100 lines of code, and you don't have to start putting one by one. Go to where you want to start, put this slash star, then look for where you wish to end, add the closing aspect of it, and you are good to go. So that's all about PHP comments. Now a little light I want to throw on variables, which we have discussed initially. I think we're almost done with everything variable. We have looked at in our last series the good ones and the bad ones, how we can start variable. Variable can be any name you wish. It's your choice, the choice of yours. So please feel free. Only that there are a few things you must not do whenever you are creating a variable. One is that you don't create a variable with numbers alone. You don't start with numbers when creating a variable. You don't have more than one word when creating a variable. So you take note of some of these things. Then if you wish to join or you have two words you want to make use of, please use underscore, not hyphen. So these are the take home you have to know. So that's more I want to discuss concerning this variable. So another thing we must understand in variable, like I can comment off what we'll have again, what we are doing to continue with our work. We have all these variable here, name. I have name is I have age. I can have something like school. Assuming I want to call it school, or should I call it food? Okay, because I like food a lot. I can call it food. Since I want to write a word, not a number, I make use of string. Now, I love tea. Wow. Another thing I like so much is bread. So, apart from food, which other thing can we think of? I can have something like item. Now, do you see I'm creating something and there is a mistake? And now I want to add bread in this item. Make sure you close. There is an error here if you are sensitive enough. And the error is on line 7. We did not start with dollar sign. Don't make this kind of mistake. So what I want to point out, very important thing I wish to point out is, now I have variable item equals to bread. We know comfortably that we can show this on the screen by using echo variable item. We mentioned the name of the variable. Anything value we are assigning here automatically gets inserted inside this variable. That's how it works. T we have here, we've inserted to variable called food. So whenever we are calling food, it will show us T. Whenever we are calling item, it will show us bread. So when we say echo item, save, we go back to our browser, we'll refresh, and what we are seeing is bread 19. So we have bread, and we have, that means we are echoing two things on the screen. You can see another one we are echoing. We have this one, we're also echoing this line. Assuming we wish to break it, we can as well do what? Create a string in which we are going to insert our HTML tag on the inside it to enable us. So in order to achieve this, we need to do what? Concatenate our variable and the string. So that's one way of doing it. You can now put concatenation, have a string also, in which I can now put a break tag that should break it for me, so that it would move the other one to the next line. We now have bread, we now have 19. Good and fine. It's going well and we're doing good. So now we have, okay, so important thing I wanted to say is, if we have this kind of statement on line 10, echo item, variable item, that's what we are echoing. Now we have item on line 7. If we move this line of code, I cut it off and I move it anywhere, maybe on line 3, there will be an error. If I save and check, you find that we have an undefined. Once we refresh, we have an undefined variable item. So it's complaining. Why? Because I have said it before and I'm still saying it now, that PHP reads our code from up to down, from top to bottom. So it starts from line 1 to read. Meaning that as is on line 1, you say that I know that you are starting, you are telling me that you want to work on PHP. I can see the PHP start tag. It will note that one. Coming on line 2, it will see a comment. JJ, peacefully, it will leave it for you. It will not touch it. Coming on line 3, it will now see that you are telling him to print out something on the screen. That is echo. You want him to show something on the screen. And now you are mentioning variable item. But you have not met line anything variable item on line 1 or line 2. That means it doesn't know anything about item at this point. So that's why it's complaining that it's undefined. It doesn't know anything about it. So for it to be able to show anything item, variable item, we must make sure that it will be after we have declared, we have created this item variable. So anything from line 8 down, any position you want to get it, you want to put it, is okay. We may wish to add it on line 15. For the fact that it knows what item is on line 7, as it's reading down, it have seen item and say, okay, I know that item is spread. If it comes to line 16, it can comfortably say that, oh, I know we are talking of. So please don't make mistake of echoing anything when you have not created or initialized it. So please, thank you so much for that. Let's go back to our code. So like I've been saying, we have ways of showing things on the screen: PHP, echo, and print statements. With PHP, there are two basic ways to get output. When we say getting output, we mean to show something on the browser, on the screen, so that users can see it. So we have the echo method and we have the print method. Benefit of this tutorial, will not be discussing more on the print. We have looked on the echo, even though they don't there is no much difference in them, but let's measure or focus now on the echo aspect of it. So echo, you can still see almost everything we have been discussing about. That's echo for you. Please read up on your own all this write up they have here. Now we are moving down to data types. When we say data types in PHP, I think every programming language has data types, which is very, very important. Understanding of what data types. So PHP now is telling us that variables can be stored. Okay, variables can store data type of different types, and different data types can do different things. That means we have different types of data types and they can also do different things. PHP supports the following data types, which include: we have string, we have integer, we have float, we have boolean, we have array, we have object, none, and resource. So these are the types of data types which we will be looking at to understand how they work. One good thing, okay, one good thing we would like to point out at this point. Sorry. So I was saying, one thing I was trying to point out is PHP is not too sensitive with all these other types we are mentioning above. Not too sensitive with them. Unlike some programming language that once you are violating data types, you are not making use of them the way they want you to make use of them, they will penalize you. So but PHP will be merciful enough. It's always merciful. So now I'm going to practice some of these things we have mentioned above. Strength. You can go back to our text editor. So the simplest way we can try to run this is simply by having this var_dom like I have here. That's one of the simplest way I'm expecting us to do something concerning it. So what we are going to achieve when we are thinking of var_dom is simply by what? Okay, so let's go down and we'll create var_dom. When I mention var_dom, it's an inbuilt syntax in PHP and it helps us to solve simple tasks. What I think one major thing it focuses on is helps us to bring out objects, array, and even like this type of types we're talking of. Even our debugging, that's one of the things that this var_dom helps us to achieve. So that's one of the things we are trying to use it now to be able to know the kind of file we are working on, the kind of type or data type we are working on. So when I come now and look at any variable I have, okay, food, I can pick up food. So I come to this var_dom. We have is a function in PHP, though we have not done function, but just take notes. I can insert within this open and closing of this box. You can just insert this variable in it, close my semicolon to close the statement. I save. That's what I want to var_dom. I've commented off every other thing. So when I go back to my screen, so when we move over to our browser, we'll find out that I've saved. When we move over to our browser, what are we going to see? We'll refresh. It's not telling us that what we are var_doming is a string and it contains 3 characters in it, which is T. What is seen? So it's telling us that this food we have here simply is what is a string because it's seeing these guys, these quotes in it. So when we check for age, you can as well change the var_dom and just change and put age. When I put age and save, I go back and refresh. It's not telling us it's now an integer, and what it contains is 19. It's a number. It's just telling us the number is containing. So which is what we are saying. So we have a lot of them which will rush and explain few things concerning them. Major thing is that in some programming languages, especially now, like we have variable age equals to 19. There are some language we can't try something like this. We have told him on line 5 that variable age is equals to 19, and we come under here and now have variable age equals to, it's now in a string, and maybe I can even give it Ben, somebody's name. I save. What happens here is that PHP, as is reading from up to down, like I told you, it will come to line 5 and say variable age is 19. Once you come to as it's moving down, whether on line 6 or on line 7, on line 8, on line 10, we can still move this thing depending on where we want. We can still move it this place, it's still okay. The only thing that is happening is that on line 5 is saying variable age 19. Say I have noted that age is 19. As it's going down, coming to line 8, 9, this coming to 10 now, it will find age again. The same thing variable you have is what you are having here. And now we are telling him that age is now Ben. All it will do is it will delete what he has for age equals to 19, what he has about age on line 5. It will now take the last instruction. They obey the last order. That's the main thing. So it will take the whatever it has now on line 10. Assuming it still comes down, it's still going down, it means under age, and age now is equals to pen. Is holding pen now age. It will forget whatever I have seen on line 10 and now collected this. So once we say age, you find that if I save and check, it will not tell us another thing, in which we are going to see a string, and the string is telling us that it's now a string, and it contains three characters in it. We have pen on it. So when we go back to our editor, we find that it's just showing us the guy on line 11, which is pen. So some languages will not allow you to mess up variables or play with variables like this. It will tell you that initially you gave me age as an integer. Why are you trying to change it to a string? It will throw a serious error that it will not agree, because you have specified initially that age is an integer and now you are giving us string. So you cannot just be overriding it anyhow you want, or you understand, overwrite it. And so that one is not acceptable. But PHP is merciful, it's free, you can play around, you can do anything you want. There is no issue, no cause for alarm, you are good to go. So now another thing we point out is, assuming I take away this or I comment them off, I've taught you how to comment depending on whether I want to use this type or want to use this type. Anyone is okay. If you save again and check, it will not tell us that age is what? An integer which is holding 19. What happens when we put string on this age? You find that this age now we're using string to hold it. I save. If we should go back and refresh it, will now tell us that it's now what? A string. What makes it a string? So take note, whenever you are using number and you are putting it in a string, that's why in the initial video I told you people that you can write it without using a string once you are targeting number. So that's another thing to take home in this. Another thing we'll have when we are talking of this other type, we can say something like we'll have the one we'll call boolean. So when we're talking of this boolean, we're looking at, it's another type of data type. I think we saw it this place. I've talked about, okay, so we have floats. If we should look at floats, whenever we are talking of floats, once you have decimal, that's float for you. So when we check age again, the data type it is, that's this is points. It's not telling us float. Why? You will find that it stays string. Why is it string? Because if you should go back here, we have string. We are still wrapping this in a string. And I told you that anything we have inside this quotation marks is a string. So if I should remove these strings around it and we save, we go back and check, what happens? It's now float. And this is what is containing. So we have another one we call what? Boolean. Boolean. So when we are talking of this boolean, all we are trying to say concerning it, where is it? All we are trying to point out is we are looking at true or false. So there is a time in our program that we are checking true and false. Maybe somebody, we are trying to log into a page and we are trying to check, have this person confirmed this email, whether it's true or false. That's where we make use of things like boolean data type. So it's very simple to create, or whenever we want to have such. So we can just check it's true. Can use something like create a variable. Don't forget, is using underscore. It's still allowed. True. I can now say what? False. So I can use false. You see the difference? You don't put all this boolean. Whenever you're creating boolean, don't put it in string. Once you convert it like this, it's now string. It's no longer boolean. But once it's in this format, you will see that it will even, the color will even change. If we go now and check the data type, if I should put it in this val underscore dom and save and go and check, you find that it will tell me that it's what? Bool, which is for that boolean. So we can, all we have in this boolean, if we should scroll down to it, we find that they're telling us that it can come in two forms, represent two possible states, which is true or false. So depending on some cases, as we dive deep, we still meet it and how it's being used. So we have another one which is array. Whenever we are talking of PHP array, so array is another form of data type in PHP. How do we create an array, and what is also an array? I think in another video I will explain more concerning array, but for now, on the data type aspect of it, we found that we can create any variable, maybe car or cars equals to, can call it array, in which it will hold multiple items for us. We can put anything we want. So it's just like a variable in that it helps us, a simple variable like the one we have on line 15 holds only one value, but array helps us to hold more than one value. So like I said, cars, I can put something like what? Volvo. I can have something like BMW. BMW can have something like Toyota. So we found that we can pass as much cars as we want. So now we can as well check the data type that this car is. These cars, that's what is it, the variable cars. Let's know data type. If we go back and check, it's telling us that it's an array and it's holding three variables. Let me call it variables. And we have what? The one that have 5 characters, which is holding Volvo, BMW, Toyota. We can as well echo what we have in array. If I want to echo it out, let me just comment this. We have learned commenting off. I can just say variable cars. I can point out the position of any one. I can tell him that in which in programming we count from 0 up. So whenever we want to count, like the position of this in this array, we started from 0. The second one is 1. So this one is the 0. Instead of me start counting from 1, this one 2, this one 3. This is wrong. In programming, also in PHP, we start from 0, then 1, 2. So since this one is 1, assuming I want to bring out BMW, I can just come here and tell him that in the list of cars in which I know that we are holding an array, I want you to bring me 1 in the position of 1. Mind you, it's starting from 0, so it will say okay, you want me to bring it. I can come in front if you want to show anything on the screen. Remember, you need to do what? Echo it. So I'm saying echo out this. I save. And when I come back, refresh, I'm seeing BMW. So if I still change it to maybe 2, we know the one that is in position 2, 0, 1, 2, which is Toyota. I can concatenate it, which we have done, and add a string. I can say Toyota is my best car. I save. Once I come back and check what I have done, I can now see that variable coming from an array. Toyota is my best car. So this we have seen that is another kind of data type. So I would not like us to dive into objects, which is also another form of data type, because we'll now have to start creating this class, constructor, instantiating certain things. In subsequent video, after we must have handled things like function and a few other things, we can now look into it. It's also very simple to create, but not to confuse you. That's why I'm not trying to make it as simple as ABCD. So far, we have done string from what we are looking at in this place, in which I told that string is anything that is in this quote, which can be single or double. Anyone you want is your choice. It can come in a single format or double format. So please, I want you to take note of that. I will not touch this other inbuilt syntax that have to do with string today because of time. Another subsequent ones we look at it. So number, in which part of the number we have done is integer. And whenever we are talking of integer, like we did in letter type, integer, even if a number, whether it's positive or negative, is still, if I should comment off this line, then I will comment this, which is Vadon, to check this number. Let's know what it is, despite it's now a negative number. So I save. If we should go back and check, the fact that it's telling us that it's an integer, despite it's minus now. So mean that even numbers, we can have positive and negative number, like as we are seeing here. Just that once it's a decimal, once it's now decimal, it becomes float, like we have here. So these are the basic things I just want us to take note of. Luckily for us, like I said before, PHP is merciful enough. It does not check most of these things one by one. So, but there are some places you may encounter, or depending on if you want to use street mode or whatever. So, as we work in developing some application deep, when we are diving deep, I will take time to be explaining more concerning some of those things. So, another important thing we'll be moving to now is if and else statements. If and else statements in PHP, which is also known as conditional statements, because we found that in the real life, life is all about if this does not happen, this one will happen. If I'm not going to school, I'm coming back from school. If I did not go to school, maybe I went to the farm. If there is no Ebola or there is no coronavirus, that means activities will be happening. There will be no shutdown. There will nothing will the environment will be sanitized or anything you can think of. So we have a lot of things we can imagine. So majority about thing, but the major thing I want to point out is that this life, anything we are doing is all about if and else. If my battery is charged, my phone battery is charged, I can press my phone. So if this, else, maybe I will need to charge my phone. So if this one, if I have airtime or if I have network in my phone, I can browse. So if this, else I need to buy data to be able to browse. I need to do this. So that's if and else. So the only thing we must take notice, sometimes we have multiple conditions we need to consider. Like in real life scenario, when we are trying to implement it, you find that we'll have something like a login page. So if email and password is correct, we log you in. Else, we will tell you what? Incorrect username and password. So it's just condition. We're trying to check certain condition. You understand? So that's one thing we're trying to dive in to understand how it works. Make our life better. So let's practicalize it, see how it works. Boom. So we zoom back to our test editor. Most of the things we have written here, what are we going to do? Maybe we'll have to comment them off. I think it will be better. Let's just comment everything off. So trying to do multi-line, all I need to do is I can now add, and immediately I add this slash and star, I find that almost everything is showing us that man is commented off. So I can just put an end to it. we continue our code, everything is off. So I can continue writing our code from down. I can move up. I push everything down, so we can continue from above. Is our choice. So when we're talking of this if and else, can type a simple if statement. So a complete statement must contain this, what I've written here. So this is a complete statement, meaning that here is taking whatever, will I call it our argument? You understand? So in which that we are looking at, we are trying to argue, compare, and the condition comes here, whatever is going to happen. That what comes next. So whatever is taking here or whatever is trying to resolve here is at the end of the day is looking at whether any argument you are passing here, we are trying to argue about or compare whether it's true or false. True or false. Take notes. End of the day is trying to know whether it's true or false. If it's true, this thing is just like a key. This red, as you can see it, is like a key padlock that is locked. So if whatever argument we have here is true, then we can have access to anything we have here. Anything we have here. I can say good. This is a comment. If whatever argument after processing it returns false, all it will do is what? It will jump starting from this key to anywhere is ending, even if this key is on this line and that the key is ending here, that means it will jump. If whatever is here is false, it will jump from line 3 up to line 13. It will now start from 14 to execute. So it's very important to know. Now to execute, to practice what we have said, we can try something like echo. Let's say echo good to go. It will be in a string. So I can simply say what good to go. So we close. Now, if we should run something of this nature and check, find that we are likely to have an error because it's telling us what syntax unexpected blah 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 on line 3. If we go back to that line 3, we find that an argument is missing. It's not seeing anything to argue with. So we can decide to, since it's telling us that end of the day is expecting true, or also end of the day is expecting false. We can now tell him that we want to pass, let's just pass through. So we are giving him true, which is what he's expecting, one of the things he's expecting. If we save and check, we find that we are having what? I'm good to go. Assuming we have a code under this place, which we can start with echo. In a string, I decide to have my BR. I want to break first. After my BR, I just want to continue. Okay, let me just have a BR. I close. I can have another echo. I can write completed. I think I close. So mean that end of the day, I just want to break whatever that is happening. So now I'm good to go because we have true. If we save, what are we saying? Let's make sure. I'm good to go. Completed. That means our task has been completed. Now, assuming we have false, what will happen? Because if it's true, this key we enter, it can comfortably read what we have inside. But if it's false, it will jump this key. It will not read anything inside it. Now it's false. I'm good to go is what? Off. We're just seeing completed, which is not inside of this place. This BR is just doing what? Breaking the line instead of them to be in one line. That's what I'm using BR to achieve. Good and fine. So at the same time, just like if you check your system, you're watching this, I think your phone to your television, most of the sets you can think of, they always have 0 and 1. 0 and 1. So what it means is 0 there is just false, 1 is true. That's what most of the sets will have. So even in programming, 0 is always false, 1 is true. So we can try it out. Once we put 0 here and save, what is happening? That means 0 is false. We are not seeing anything also. If we come back and change it to 1, and save. One is always what? True. We found that is showing I'm good. And mind you, from 1 up, even minus anything, minus 0 is true. That's another thing I want you to know today in programming, in PHP. Let me don't talk about another language for now. So everything at minus anything minus 0. So even if I do minus 23.5 and save, it will still tell me what, we'll still see what we are looking for. It's still here. So except when we put 0, the 0 that is always false. Then you can as well take a statement when I say something like 1 plus 2 is equals to 4, equals to 5. 1 plus 2 is equals to 5. Now, just like what we did below, we found that we have been making use of 1 equal to 1. And this 1 equal to, in so far this PHP is concerned, we are trying to assign. That's what we call assignments. In subsequent video, we'll be looking at operators. We'll explain some of these things. But for now, I just want to touch it. So when we are saying assignment, that means what is in the right is being carried or stored in the variable in the left. That's the assignment. So whenever our code PHP sees 1 equals to, all it's trying to do is collect what is in the right and give it to what is in the left. Whenever we're using 1 equal to. So whenever we are trying to now compare, we make sure we are using double equal to. Take note. So now we are telling him to run this statement for us, this expression. Check 1 plus 2 whether it's equal to 5. That's it. We are not using single equal to. If we use single, that means we're just trying to collect whatever we have here and store here this side. I save and check. If 1 plus 2 is equal to 5, we'll see I'm good to go. Because if 1 plus 2 is equal to 5, it's true. But if it's 1 plus 2 is not equal to 5, that means it's false. End of the day, it will jump whatever we are doing. It will jump that key. So now it's false because 1 plus 2 can never be 5. If we change it to 3 plus 2 is equals to 5, it will say true and we will see it back. So at the end of the day now we have this boolean that we can use it this place because if is always checking whenever we are working with this conditional statement, those brackets we are seeing here is always checking true or false of any statement. That's one thing we are taking home. We can as well create a variable here. I can say call it variable name, which is equals to what? Var. And I close. Remember, I can now say something of this nature. If surname is equals to, remember to use 2 equal to, and I'm now telling him okay, so I'm just checking something. I can say if this is equals to Ben, we don't have anything surname above, so system is supposed to complain that I have checked, I can't see anything like surname. To avoid that error, make sure you're using what you have. So now system is trying to compare line 2 because he knows what is name. That name is Val. So here we are saying if name is equals to Ben, in which we know that is not equals to. If we run, we're not going to see this. When I refresh, it's gone. But assuming we change any of them or we change this to Val, and we are now saying if name is equals to Val, it will tell us yes, I know name is, so it will show. So these are important things to do what? Know. Now, if like we know when we say condition most of the times, if we do not meet up with this, we should have alternative for it. So whenever we're looking at condition, we have if and we also have else. Else, which comes with it. I think we'll be talking of if and else in this tutorial for now. So we'll have if and we'll have else, meaning that what? Once you check if is true, it will execute whatever we have here. If this if is true, whatever the statement it processes here, it will execute whatever we have. Else means that if this one is not true, instead of jumping, please execute whatever we have here. Like if it's raining, let's give an example by saying maybe day, and within the day, the current day, we can say raining. So now we have raining. Uh-uh. Now we have raining. So we can do something like if day is equals to raining, we can come here and say what? I need to cover myself. Let's or take an or take coffee, anything else. If it's not raining, we can come here and say echo. Echo means what show on the screen. That's it, echo. So I need ice cream. So we can have something of this nature too. So now this is a typical good example of if and else. So we have day which is raining, means that if it's raining or we have day one, let's assume we have multiple days. We have day one, day two, day three. So day one raining, this one you can say there is sun everywhere. Sun, 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 sun. And what are we going to say? We can say something of snow. You understand? Snow is falling. So we have something of this nature. So depending on what we need to do. So now we can say if day one. So now we don't have anything like day one. So we need to make sure we select a particular day, which is now we're checking if it's raining. And if it's raining, what will happen? Which means that this statement is true because day one is raining. So it will execute this and is going to jump else because it has entered inside this if. So it cannot enter the same at the same both of them at the same time. So it will jump this and continue executing. So if I save and check, what are we saying? I need to cover myself. Understand? So since we need to cover ourselves, that's good to go. Now assuming that we put something like sun day two, day two, day two, day two, day two, day two. When I put something like day two, so day two mean that maybe the weather is hot weather. So that means that's what we have in day two. If we check, because now okay, if we are now in day two, that means if day two equals to okay, so if day two is equivalent to what? Raining. Is it true? We have a variable called day two and it's holding hot weather. But here, what we are comparing is what? Raining. So since we are comparing raining, that means it's false. It's going to execute this else statement. That one thing we are taking. That means it's telling us what? I need ice cream. So that's what it's complaining of. So we should take note of all this if else, if and else statements. Very, very important. If and else statement. I don't know any other thing we are going to use to explain it. If and else statements. So sometimes you can have multiple statements, multiple condition or multiple conditions. We have plenty, a lot of them. So I can come now and say something of this nature. If day one or day two equals to raining, I need to do what? Cover myself. Else, if we are trying to provide another condition. So example now, you have a child or you have a brother and now you are trying to compare to certainty what is a possible outcome. You can say something like if my brother is in school, if in school, which means if it's true, that means he's reading. Else, if he is not in school, maybe he's in church. Else, he may be at home. Before you can now have your final else. So this final else we are having here means that after all possible known, the condition, the certainty is the one we can predict that it's likely to occur. That's the one we're using if or else if. Else if. We can mention as much as else if as we want. Then maybe after everything we'll say he's not in school, he's not in church, maybe not at home. That means they have kidnapped him, that kind of a thing. So that's the final option we have. Example, practical or real life example of this is maybe you are trying to do what? Log in to a system. We are trying to sign up to create an account on a new web page, a new web application, in which we are trying to check if you typed your phone number, if you typed your email, if you provided a password. So now, in order to check some of this, you understand, we can give some condition, or we are looking at age. So if you did not provide this, we can say else. Tell this person that password is required, email is required, this one is required. So something of this nature. Then checking something of else if, we can say something of this nature in a program whereby you are trying to let me still use that registration. So we are trying to check a particular age. If we are up to this age, this person can register. Else, if you are permitted by government or so, we can allow you to register. Else, if you are an employee in our company, we can permit you to register. Else, we don't need you in our site. So we are now saying that if this person is up to this age, else if this person is, so any else if, let's now practice and see what is happening. So we can now say else if the one, remember your variable the one is equals to raining. Let's use this raining again. So we have the 2 is equivalent to raining, the 1 is now equals to raining. He should do this. Else, we're telling him that else means that we don't know what I'm going to write now. You are not part of us. So we can now say, so in this scenario, what I've explained here, what are we trying to achieve? We simply have our code in which we are checking some basic things. One of the things we are checking is what? If the 2 is equals to raining, system will go and check the 2, and the 2 is equals to hot water. That means the 2 is false. So it will jump. When it's jumping, it's coming to continue from here. So now we are saying else if the 1 is equals to raining, it will go up and check and say the 1 is raining, which is okay. Comfortably, it will do what? Enter this line and print out what we have in the 1, because it's returning true from here. This statement is true. That's why. So it will jump every other condition we have and continue on line 19, which is not part of the conditional statements we have here above. So it will jump it. That's what will happen and continue comfortably. So assuming that we come and that instead of the 2, what I'm having here is the 3. So what is happening? It will come and say if the 2 is equals, okay, let's check the 1 and see what it will print first in our browser. If I check, I need ice cream. Which one is I need ice cream? Which is this one. That is returning true. So if we change it now to the 3 is equals to raining, in which we know that the 2 is not equals to raining, the 3 is not equals to raining. So last, what it's going to do is it's going to print the last else statement. If we save and check, what are we seeing? We are seeing, did we save? What is happening? So if the 3 is equals to raining something, what is happening? I need ice cream. Something is not going well. So if we look at our code, we notice one thing. In this place, I made a mistake. I was busy using one equal to sort of double, like I mentioned. Don't make that mistake, please. If we save now and go back and check, we find that it's not telling us what you are not part of us. So because the first one is not meeting the condition, so it will jump whatever it have, come to this else if, it will check. If it's not meeting up the condition, it will jump and come to this final else, execute what it have. So once all this thing is returning false, it will look for where we have final else and execute whatever it has there before continuing with our normal code, processing of the remaining code. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'm happy that you made it to the last. Thank you so much again. Kindly support, like this video. I love you so much.